Good afternoon. Today we're going to take a look at a microeconomics issue that affects all people around the world, and it's the question of what is demand. Right? Demand, simply put, as a definition, comes down to a relationship between price and quantity in a given time period. But in order to really work on this definition, there's a few things we can do. First, let's cross out this idea of a given time period and really boil down the definition to something that we can work with on a regular, everyday basis. And in order to do that, we're going to take a look at two ideas. The first being price, and the second being quantity. These two things really determine what is demand according to the average consumer. Once we've determined what that demand is between price and quantity, we can get to the point where we create what is called a demand schedule, and measuring that demand is key. Economists look for two ideal things, first being the price and quantity. However, we need quantifiable aspects to that. So here we can say at $1, Susie or Johnny demand 100 items of that good, thus the 100. Common logic would say as price increases, and we'll see this here, as we have an increase in price, there is a decrease in the quantity demanded, until eventually for this certain product, at $5, this consumer only wants 20 of the given good. And how do we measure this demand? Well, we do so through a demand curve. This is a graph that represents all the possible points of a specific product's demand. This demand curve here shows the demand schedule we just saw in the previous slide. And as you can see, there are a few key indicators that are essential when describing the demand curve. First thing, both the X and Y axis are properly labeled, price and quantity, as well as the XY intercept labeled as 0. The demand curve has a downward slope, or rather an inverse slope. In this case, it is a perfect -1 slope. The demand curve itself is labeled D for demand, as well as there is an appropriate scale that works for all possible points along this graph. Simple breakdown of demand and its possible measurements between price and quantity.